Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Discovery Day live stream, June 15th. We are back with Delic Holdings, DELC, on the CSE, DELCF over the counter. Matt Stang, the CEO. Matt, welcome back.
Thank you, Jack, for having me back on. How are you?
Fantastic. So, for anybody that's brand new to our live stream, again, our goal is to bring those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies going after three things. One, multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. There is multiple catalysts in place to create that massive increase in stock price, and the companies are at that key inflection point. And we've had a bunch of those winners. We've had already 7+ stocks that are up between 10x and 50x in the last 18 months. We have, another dozen or so that are up between 100% and 500%. So what we're going to do today is we're going to find out if Delic is going to be that next 10-bagger plus. So those of you watching, please, watch the interview, and then most importantly, ask your questions. Ask your questions to Matt, and you'll get the answers, and then you can decide for yourself if Delic is going to be that next 10-bagger plus. So, Matt, with that said, it's interesting. Just before the live stream, we're talking about, a lot of times companies come onto our platform. They have those things. They're at that, inflection point, the catalyst. And the CEO says, "Hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that," and sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, right? In your case, you've actually been executing. I mean, you've been executing on the plan, so it's almost kind of, it's almost kind of boring that this is like it's actually happening. People are not paying attention, but you're actually doing what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, people aren't really used to, people actually doing what they say they're going to do, and I think
in the penny stock world, in the micro cap world,
world, I think my background, 20 years in cannabis, helping build a $100 million company there, and really understanding how to execute. It's really key to just keep your head down and really work on the business, right? Like we're here to talk about what we're doing, but really we're doing what we're doing. So when we talk about doing a lab that will help develop psilocybin products, well, we now have closed on that deal. We own a lab. It's called Delic Labs now. We're rebranding it, and it is in the process of doing work on mushroom vaporization, just like we talked about 6 months ago. In the case of the clinic business, we have signed our definitive agreement, and we are going to close sometime in the next 10 days, 8 days, and we will have a chain of ketamine clinics for psychedelic wellness. And I think that's really, we plan on being the largest ketamine clinic chain in America and the largest psychedelic wellness chain in America. And you'll see that execution over the next 6 months. And, I think when you ask, can it be a 10-bagger? I think it can be a 100-bagger. I think the potential upside for clinics, for being that infrastructure play for psychedelics, for being molecule agnostic places for new psychedelic compounds to be deployed to the tens of millions of people who need it. I think there's exponential upside, and I really think everyone's going to be very
Matt, you said 100-bagger. 100-bagger means $30 plus.
I mean, I think that's super rational. I think that having, a really long-term vision of what we can do, I think we can be the largest chain of psychedelic wellness clinics in America, and I think that potential market size is in the tens of billions. I'm not okay. So when there's a really wonderful book by Peter Thiel, 0 to 1, and what he talks about is finding things that are exponentially better.
It's funny because actually this is, I don't know. Okay, did you watch? Okay, I don't know. This is because we did I did a video on this back in November when I explained the philosophy of our our whole program. Is the whole idea is basically our goal is to bring investors those stocks which you have that one thing that makes up which is that exponential delivers that exponential return that's 50x 100x that basically covers the whole portfolio. So it's not like that 10%.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think psychedelics, psychedelic wellness, psychedelic therapy is an exponential increase on current psychotherapy and psychopharmacopoeia. And so that's, to me, the huge opportunity here is to be part of disrupting a $1 trillion business of mental health care across the world, right? And I think that when you do that, when you change that paradigm and you shift it, and you have that infrastructure that allows people to tap in and access it, you have an opportunity to really do incredibly well for yourself while doing great things for the world. And that's, I know people pay lip service to that alignment between doing well and doing good, but I think in this case, we can actually do really, really well by helping the world exponentially better their mental health.
Okay. So, there's more, and we can kind of get into details, but, there's more and more kind of realization that, psychedelics are, the different treatments are, extremely effective for mental health. And probably the mental health thing is actually one of the biggest problems definitely in the US right now. I mean, if you look at, all these, the mass shooting stuff, 99% of the time, it's, they had they were depressed, they were dealing with, different mental health issues. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And there's a shooting. There were 4 shootings in one night this week.
Where was that?
In 4 different states. 4 mass shootings in one night. It's like, what the hell, man? So
attention. It's like an everyday thing here.
I know, and that's why I think that having access to actual psychedelic wellness, to the ability to help change your mind, is so incredibly important for depression, anxiety, PTSD, the kind of stuff that you're talking about. The kind of traumatic anger and rage that people go through because they can't deal with their mental health, homelessness. There's so many things that are tied to mental health, and it's like, you look at what the VA spent on PTSD last year. It's like $30 billion. The veterans.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. It's more than $30 billion. So like, the disruptive potential of something that is 15 times more beneficial to mental health than what is currently available, and that's what psychedelics offer.
I didn't know about this VA thing. So, hold on a second. So they spent $30 billion on PTSD treatments. Now, from what I read, I mean, one of the things that from articles I've read, I'm not one of the most effective, one of the things that psychedelics is most effective for is the PTSD treatment.
That is correct. That to me, and the VA is a small fraction of the number of people in America, and the numbers are staggering. So it's like, you look at how many things are really affected by mental health, how much money is spent by insurance, how much money is spent incidental and related treatments. It's insane. So
how do they treat PTSD now? $30 billion, that's a lot of money. What do they do?
Clinical care, inpatient treatments, a lot of like keeping the person in a hospital, making sure that they're okay for days at a time at a cost of like $5,000 a day. That's where it comes down to, having an effective treatment. You look at just in our current business, ketamine infusion centers, the clinic chain that we're picking up this week, they have a massive number of veterans coming through, utilizing the treatment for PTSD, anxiety. Another big thing is addiction, right? You have this huge wave of addiction from people stuck at home with nothing to do, and they're just hurting. And ketamine is incredibly beneficial for helping people wean themselves off of addiction, right? So it's like, you have this drug that helps you disassociate from your neural pathways and from your kind of neurotic behavior. And a lot of times, addiction comes from an obsessive compulsive drive to do something. And so there's just this incredible, like, addiction is a, $50-100 billion market on its own if you slice it up. So,
if you can channel that addiction thing into something positive, the guy could become the next Elon Musk. The guy could build, a rocket to Mars, right?
Exactly. Well, that's the other
personality. It's the same thing, right?
And I think this is super important, that a lot of the current psychopharmacopoeia, a lot of the drugs people use to deal with depression or mental health, they stop people from living to their fullest potential. So people who are kind of up and down, I wouldn't say bipolar, but borderline, are unable to function at that high creative peak because of these, narcotizing antidepressants. And if you give people access to psychedelic wellness, they can be themselves, right? And that's such an incredibly important thing when you hear it, to have the, you don't want to strip away Van Gogh's genius, but he was clinically depressed, right? So like the guy, one of the greatest artists in the world was, killed himself, right? Cut off his ear.
So if he had psychedelics, so if he had, access to, a ketamine treatment or whatever it is, the guy would have,
could have lived another 30 years.
Yeah.
Put out like,
I don't know if maybe his art wouldn't have been as, maybe people would have, the story wouldn't be as valuable. He would have been considered just another guy. The painter,
everything, right? People love the story, they buy the story.
Right. Like Basquiat, right? Like imagine.
Yeah.
If Basquiat, if he took the ketamine, he would have been just another 80s has-been artist instead of overdosing from heroin, and now he's selling for hundreds of millions, right?
I still tend to think that folks like that, even if he lived to 60 and died in 2012, would still be worth a shit ton of money, because his art is unbelievably beautiful. If you've seen it, a friend of mine was his curator in the 80s, so I've seen some pieces up close. They're transcendent. So I tend to think that providing people with access to this psychedelic wellness really will help improve, the human lot in life. And this is why I feel very strongly that I can say, hey, you can make a lot of money changing the world, right? And that's what I want to do, that confluence of changing the world and making a lot of return for people so that we can reinvest in changing the world even more.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into some questions in just a little bit, but this actually leads into my first real question, which is, okay, so I want to kind of get an update on the acquisition. So one of the things that you're doing is early on you said, look, we're gonna have a strategy. We're gonna do the acquisitions of these ketamine clinics. We're gonna build out ketamine clinics, et cetera, and you're doubling, you're picking up this acquisition now, which is KIC, was it ketamine infusion centers?
Ketamine infusion centers, that's right.
Tell us about the deal. You just what is this going to do for you?
Yeah, so we think there's going to be a huge opportunity to build these out. They've really nailed the accessibility. So they have a lot of folks coming in with insurance. They're offering S-ketamine, which is a Johnson & Johnson's formulation of ketamine that has been approved for treatment-resistant depression, so is covered by insurance. We think that makes things a lot more accessible and allows folks who would otherwise not be able to spend thousands of dollars in cash to come in and get those treatments and really get towards wellness. And, the business itself has 2 operating clinics right now. We have 2 in the pipeline already. They're on a run rate basis. The larger one's doing almost $1 million. The smaller one's on a $500,000 run rate, and we think we can get those up to each one being about $1 million a year top line business with a 20 to 30% margin. So we see being able to have, say, a dozen to 15 by the end of the year.
Okay.
And
up and running.
So, okay. And 24 by next year. And we think that puts us on you can do the math. It's if we get
25 million. So basically 25 million a year run rate.
Plus the labs business, which should contribute, $1.5 million to $2.5 million. And the events and media business, which contribute another $1 million to $2 million. So, we think we could have a $30 million run rate business by next year.
Okay, and you haven't talked about you haven't mentioned the clinical trial side. That's where the data, the clinical trials, the clinical data. Actually, the data you're going to develop from the clinics and on the mushroom, the media.
Yeah, from the labs, of course. I think what we really see here is, we've closed the deal. We now own Delic Labs. We have moved forward with a prototype version of a psilocybin vaporization project. And the idea is we use our website, Reality Sandwich, which draws about 400,000 people a month now. And we're building a front end so people can kind of give feedback on what they want from mushrooms. And then we can use our lab to actually do the research and then get, as places like Oregon and other states come online for psilocybin for therapeutic use outside of the FDA channels, we will have novel consumer packaged goods that people can come to our clinics in those states and utilize. Then they can give their data back through our web portal. And we'll have, tens of thousands of people giving their consumer data, which is about 3 times to 4 times a phase 3 clinical trial. So we'll have the amount of data that a pharmaceutical company would spend hundreds of millions of dollars on, and we'll have done it profitably, which we think is a really interesting and novel way to get there.
Yeah, I mean, so that data could be, again, that's one of those. It's sort of like a hidden asset almost inside of the whole Delic thing, which could be worth more than the valuation of that could be more than the existing valuation of the business, maybe even 10x more.
Exactly, and that's we see this as an opportunity to build a cash flowing infrastructure for the psychedelic world. So we're not looking at this as a 7-year life sciences return. We're looking at this as a now profitable business, cash flowing business that we can then pull data and IP and really own that part of the customer journey and also really own the ecosystem. So, with 400,000 people coming to our site every month, with our Meet Delic event, which we've announced for November 6th and 7th in Las Vegas, and we're going to announce our headliners next week and have an incredible run of health and wellness and psychedelic science and psychedelic business folks coming together. All of that creates this great funnel for us, right? We're touching millions of people and tagging them and retargeting them. So we now have a direct relationship with potential psychedelic wellness clients. So we're not intermediated, right? A lot of people they have a business, but they have no direct pipeline. And if one of the 2 or 3 big tech companies shuts them down from advertising, they're now done, right? So we see this as the way to acquire new patients, new clients, new interested parties, right? Okay, so there you go. So that question, right? How do we acquire clients? We own our own pipeline. We own our own ecosystem. And that's something that I think is a key differentiator for building this ecosystem out, really having a platform where people can discover, they can come on our social. We have hundreds of thousands of followers across that. They can look at our emails. We have 300,000 people on our emails. They can come to our website, 400,000 people a month. They can come to our events. And all of that is a funnel down to folks who are looking to experience psychedelic wellness. And then they can go to our clinics. And so we have a really interesting and novel way to really bring in fresh patient flow. And to your question, yes, they do have to be prescribed by doctors. Everything has to be done in an FDA compliant way. But it just, it gives you flow of people who are interested. And out of that, there will be folks who qualify and can get a doctor's recommendation to do these psychedelic novel compounds.
Okay. So I want to kind of go back to, what you were saying before. So if you have, that 25-30 million revenues run rate next year, that would, I say would, but it definitely could value, Delic at, 20x. So, 500 million plus valuation. So, which we kind of talked about before, but that could give, that really would give the company roughly $10 a share valuation at that level.
Yeah, which I think is a rational number. That's why when you ask me, can we do it? I think, like you said at the beginning, we are quietly executing on everything we said we're going to. So you'll hear me talk and I'll come back and you'll hear the deals announced and you'll hear the deals close. And that's kind of the idea, right? Is that we're going to execute on this vision, which is creating a real ecosystem for psychedelic wellness and an infrastructure platform for all of these novel compounds that all of these folks are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to create. we'll give them a platform to deploy across. And for that, we will make profit, right? Because every new compound brings new people, which will bring new profitability to the business.
No, it's like an incredible virtuous cycle. Dino's asking, are you going to have clinics in Canada?
Right now, we're focused on the United States, but we aren't rolling it out, right? So we think Canada is an interesting market. We obviously are a Canadian-based company. So it's something that we're looking at, but we're really focusing on becoming the largest psychedelic wellness chain in America. So you'll see that from us across the next, 3-4 months. And I think people will be really very, very happy with what we do there. And then, we're going to be opportunistic. So if there's great opportunities in Canada, we will look at them.
So I think, okay, so right now you're going to have 4 of these clinics. The goal is to have, a dozen plus end of the year up and running, right? So I think, I have a feeling that once you get to roughly, let's just say 6 or 8, at that point, people will kind of wake up and say, oh, this is for real. This thing is actually, because I think 4 is still kind of, 4, maybe they just got lucky or something. But once you get to like 6 or 8, then all of a sudden, that's already, that becomes something tangible. Once you get to 10, then you're like at 10, you'd be like a real player in the space.
Yeah, well, you'll see, and we will come back and talk about it as we do it, because I think you're going to be very, very happily surprised by us becoming the largest in America. And then, we have plans on kind of expanding that outwards and being opportunistic across, the rest of North America, potentially Europe, and even, there's some other interesting opportunities. So we want to be really focused. So I want to be clear, like, we're very focused on being the largest chain of psychedelic wellness in America. And then from there, we will expand outwards utilizing our tried and true management and modalities and SOPs. So we really think that's where we can really add value.
What, Matt, one thing you should definitely bring up the team, because you have a very impressive team, and you have you have that guy with who comes from Bulletproof Coffee. He's your marketing guy, which I think is very, very relevant for what you're going to be doing. Explain, kind of connect the dots for the audience.
Yeah, for sure. So we have Zach Garcia, who is the former CMO of Bulletproof, took that company from 0 to 250 million in sales, really understands, direct affinity marketing, understands building community and taking that community and getting them to essentially spend on the community and the values that they share. And so what we've built here by giving tons of value is a similar affinity-based community. And as we roll out our nationwide platform of clinics, you're going to see that will funnel into more patients, more people. And, what we really want to do is we want to make sure that we have the largest chain of clinics in America, that we then focus on using all of our assets to drive more patients per clinic, and then looking at how we can add better services so we can make sure that each patient has a better experience and more opportunity to come back and do more things with us. And I think that on its own becomes a really incredible cyclical business that is, really fulfills the ecosystem mission that we've put together.
Of course. And of course, you forgot to mention your background, just for anybody that is new to the story. You ran High Times magazine. In case anybody doesn't know, what is High Times and how does that?
I was the owner and operator of a company called High Times. It is the world's first and largest marijuana and cannabis related magazine, event company, and now chain of dispensaries and delivery services. So I helped build, lead, deploy the Cannabis Cup, help sell it to a private equity group, and help them kind of deploy this new model, which is using the events and media to really sell cannabis. So I think, that strategy that we've deployed at High Times, we're deploying very similarly into Delic, and really looking at, hey, in a nascent industry, as things go from black to gray to white, people don't know what to trust or who. And so there's this opportunity, if you build yourself a giant megaphone, to show people what the best in class is. And so that's what we've done. We built a giant megaphone.
Matt, question. So the clinics, how are they going to be branded?
Yeah, so they're going to be branded as KIC, and then you'll see our name will appear on it. I don't want to make a statement until it comes out, because we'll have a nice branding and beautiful marketing, but there will be, as I said, right now, ketamine is the only legal psychedelic therapy. So right now it is a ketamine infusion center. Now, both MDMA and psilocybin are submitting their phase 3 clinical trials to the FDA sometime this year. So by next year, we should have 2 new novel compounds. Now that means that, our name means a lot more attached to it, because it's no longer just ketamine, it is all psychedelic compounds. So Delic, I think, will find its way onto it, but you'll see a branding and marketing push that will give it that cohesive value. I don't want to step on my marketing team's beautiful work. I want to let them create it, and then I'll reveal it for everyone.
Okay. So, to recap, you're closing on this new deal, which is the two picking up 2 of these ketamine clinics, and I think one is in Bakersfield in California, right?
One is in Bakersfield, and the other is in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, okay. Now it's interesting. Both those areas geographically, there's a lot of military, ex-military people in that area who might have PTSD.
A ton of it. That's what I was saying. We're doing a lot of work with the local VAs there, and really helping a lot of folks. It's I'm doing this because I am a true believer. This is more than just a business to me. I have seen grown men,
huge bases in that area.
Well, I've seen a grown man with scars all over his body break down crying and tell me how, if this place hadn't been open during the pandemic, he would have killed himself. And so that's a veteran in Arizona, and just seeing that, and thanking me for helping them keep their doors open, through the pandemic and all the hardship, and how if he could not have gone there, he would have probably killed himself. And it's really impactful. It's just so powerful, and these substances, ketamine primarily, and for me, my wife has used ketamine successfully for 2.5 years for her anxiety disorder, and it's changed her life. And I think it's so incredibly powerful and life-changing. And, there's so many people who don't even know. Like, I talk to people and they hear me and they're like, whoa, ketamine, what? And then they're like, hey, my grandma might need that, or my aunt or my best friend from college is going through something. Is there someone he can call? It's like, and it's quiet, because there's still this stigma around mental health. People are really, they're scared to say anything because people will think they're crazy, right? And so it's like, the problem has been that psychopharmacopoeia, the drugs that we give to people for mental health, don't actually fix it. So if you come out and say you have a mental health issue and it's unfixable, you are now stigmatized for life. Well, what I'm saying is, these novel compounds, they have 50, 60, 70% efficacy, and there will be 3, 4, 5 of them in the next 2 years. So you're going to have like a 70 or 80% chance of getting better. So it's no longer going to be nearly as stigmatized, because you will actually be able to say, I did have this, and then I went and I fixed it. And I'm now journeying through being a less obsessive or less addictive or less anxious person now that I've done this work. And I think that's so incredible.
No, it's it makes a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. Okay, so you're gonna have the clinics. You're scaling that up. That's the big story. The big story with Delic is essentially the scaling the clinics. Now you have 4. Now you're gonna go to 12 by the end of the year. You closed the lab acquisition, which is now renamed Delic Labs. That's going to add, I don't know, $1 million or $2 million revenues, and you're developing the CPG,
product line of
mushroom products,
psilocybin, consumer packaged goods, exactly.
Okay, including the vaporization, which sounds very interesting. And again, what's the advantage of vaporizing the mushrooms, versus, I don't know, eating them?
We think quicker onset and quicker offset, meaning you can have a much shorter trip. with a peak experience that comes, in 20, 30 minutes and offset by an hour and a half. So a much more controllable, dosable, one of the issues with psilocybin in a clinic setting is it lasts 6 to 8 hours. And so it takes a lot of time, effort. It's an entire person's work day to supervise one psychedelic experience. So we think giving people a shorter onset and shorter offset will make it much more accessible.
No, that would be so that potentially is a big game changer. And I recall one of the things you mentioned in one of the live streams, I think it may have been back in March, which it blew my mind, was you said that in Silicon Valley, a lot of, a lot of these tech guys are big into the psychedelics now. They're
microdosing.
Microdosing and
I don't know if you saw the story where the Unicorn founder got fired for microdosing LSD in his board meeting. It was big news on Bloomberg and everywhere. He, multi-billion-dollar startup, and the guy got tossed out of his company for, coming in and talking about microdosing on LSD at his board meeting. But look, I think there's, for every one guy like that, there's 80 to 100 that don't talk about it, but
probably do it. Elon Musk is microdosing. Now I think he would be a candidate for the the vaporization.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
he would love that at his camp at Burning Man, for sure.
Imagine if that was a new feature on a Tesla that would give you like a puff of psilocybin.
Yeah,
new plaid.
You probably needed to use that new yoke wheel that no one seems to be able to drive with.
It would be amazing. No. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. Okay, Matt, to wrap up, what are the milestones do you have coming up? What are the news flow can we expect the next 60 days or so?
You're going to see a lot, but the answer to that is I can't actually tell you until I release it, right? But a lot of stuff around becoming the largest clinic chain in America. So you're going to see a lot of stuff there. I think that there's, a lot of stuff around the labs and some of the partnerships we have going, some of the new ventures, and a lot of stuff around the event, Meet Delic. It's happening November 6th and 7th. So you're going to see line up with a bunch of heavy hitters in the health, wellness, technology, and business sector. And so there's going to be a ton of stuff. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and pre-announce something I'm not supposed to.
Okay. But bottom line, the summer. So people should, because
there's going to be
closed down.
We are not shutting down for the summer. We've got a lot of stuff coming, and you watch this space. I will be back on at least a few more times before the end of July to tell you about a bunch of cool stuff we're doing.
Oh, that's a hint.
A few times before the end of July. I want to say, but I can't say.
A few times before the end of July. That sounds like something is happening.
There you go.
All right. Okay. I just want to address. Okay. Somebody was asking about, can they buy the stock on Schwab? I guess so. Here's an answer. If somebody wants to buy on Schwab, they have to call a number. I don't think they can buy it by pressing a button. They actually may have to call somebody.
That makes sense.
DELCF. Okay.
DELCF, DELC, and we'd love to have you guys as shareholders, and we believe very strongly that you're going to make a lot of capital returns and a lot of, good karma. I think supporting this would really help the world. Oh, there you go. He says help the world. Okay.
We're in a mind. There's a mind melt.
Eric.
It's amazing. Okay. Matt, thank you again. We'll look forward to having you on a couple of more times before the end of July.
I will be there. Thank you so much. Have a great one, Jack.
You too. Thank you again. Okay. Great things at Delic. It's amazing. The company, it's shocking. I know microcap companies actually delivering what they said they were going to do. So let's meet another one right now. Our next guest. Let's get ready for our next guest. Let me just put up the banner here. Graph blockchain. I know a lot of people are looking forward to this. Here we go. And let me just okay, graph. Let me just change this up. Stand by. Let me just get this set up for you. Okay. Let's get ready for Graph. Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Fantastic. Hey, I want before we accept, I want to get us on the same the camera. So okay, there we go. Okay, a little more. Yeah, so we're at the same
camera. Okay, there we go. Now we're the same height.
Okay. I think we're eye level, right? Okay, and we get everything on the screen correct, right? REGRF, GBL. I always like to double check the data is correct. Okay, so let me just do. Let me see. Okay, so let me just do a quick intro for YouTube. I'm gonna, everybody's watching. Just disregard this. Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Discovery Day live stream, June 15th, 2021. We are back with Graph blockchain GBLC on the CSE REGRF over the counter, and of course the CEO Paul Haber. Paul, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Great to be back.
So Paul, our audience, anybody that's brand new to the program, what this is all about is we bring investors those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So companies going after multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point right now in their growth, and there are multiple catalysts in place that could ignite massive increase in shareholder value. We've had 7 plus stocks that are up 10x to 50x in the last 18 months. We have some of them on the screen. We have a whole bunch that are up, 2x, 5x, whatever it is. So the idea is everybody today who's watching, they want to know if Graph is going to be on that list in the pantheon. If Graph is going to be joining the pantheon of the greats, the 10 baggers, the 100 baggers. So please ask Paul your questions, he'll answer you direct. So Paul, you've had some good news recently.
Yeah, since I was last on your show, really that was our introduction to the market a few months ago. We're newly minted, going after the DeFi space, really sort of focusing to start on altcoins, and with sort of a bit of a promise of more to come. And we've closed one of those other acquisitions, and we've press released the LOI for our NFT acquisition. So I think we're really well on the way to executing what we told your viewers we would do last time. Okay,
and you get the crypto and all that good stuff. So just in a nutshell, for anybody that's new, exactly what is Graph blockchain? What are you doing in the blockchain crypto space? The DeFi.
Yeah, so really we're broadly focused on the whole decentralized finance market. And if you look at some of the metrics out there, the World Bank thinks that every stock will eventually be tokenized. Everything more and more is becoming tokenized. Everybody wants to be able to see what's happening. Transparency. You look at the Wall Street bet guys talking about stocks and the shorting and the puts and the calls and everything, and they talk about transparency, trying to figure out where all these magic shares are. That's really sort of decentralized financing. It's just taking it out of, the hands of the few and just distributing it out, and through that blockchain creating transparency that people can see what's going on. And so that's a really broad, area. And so some of the things that we've started with were altcoins. So coins other than Bitcoin and Ethereum. We believe there's huge value in those. If you look at where Bitcoin started in its early days, or even Ethereum started in its early days to now, if you can be a part of that, that is incredible wealth creation that has happened. And so we want to bring our shareholders exposure to that. And then other areas, NFTs, which we're just starting to get into. Last quarter alone, I think global sales of NFTs, as reported by CNBC, was $2 billion worldwide. So it's a huge market and a huge opportunity. And again, we want to give our shareholders exposure to benefiting from that market. And we're looking at many other markets too. There's a lot of other things on the go.
Okay, so let's kind of get into the recent news. So you're acquiring a company called Beyond the Moon. I love the name, Beyond the Moon. It's not just going to the moon, but it's beyond. So what is Beyond the Moon?
So Beyond the Moon is a crypto launch pad coordinator. and pretty fancy term to say they're focused on coin IPOs. So when we started out focusing on altcoins, we're looking at a lot of the big boys. We're buying DOT, buying Link, we're buying Cardano. A lot of the larger coins have a large market cap, more established following, but all of these coins started life, like Bitcoin at a penny, like Ethereum, at pennies. And those coins are starting their public life in what's called an IDO, similar to IPO for stocks, so an IDO. And what Beyond the Moon did was focus on finding the best coins for people to invest in. Just like a stock IPO. There are the ones that you want to participate in, and the ones that you don't.
You're an underwriter, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So we've internalized that function. So we're just going to keep it for ourselves. We're not going to take people's money or open accounts or anything like that and get into a whole different regulatory world. We're just going to internalize it and start deploying our capital into a lot of these IPOs. Before we acquired them, they had several successful purchases. All three of them were over 10 times money in less than 2 weeks. They were much smaller, so we plan to deploy larger capital without going too crazy, and bring that exposure to our shareholders.
So Beyond the Moon essentially is an underwriter of crypto.
Not an underwriter. So these coins go public on exchanges, and so people have an opportunity to buy these coins. Really, what Beyond the Moon did was all the due diligence and all the legwork required to figure out whether something was going to be a good IPO or not. And Beyond the Moon also has access to these coins. So a lot of these exchanges that are doing these IDOs, you need to be a member. And how many coins you buy or able to buy is commensurate with your level of membership. So just kind of like Amex, you got your green, your gold, your platinum, and your black. If you put up $150,000 with one of these exchanges, you can buy a lot. If you don't, you can't. So, for the retail investor who doesn't want to put up 150 grand to participate in an IPO, they can buy Graph Blockchain knowing that we've put up our 150 grand to be a member, and we're going to be going after their best IPOs.
Okay, got it. Okay, and so one of the things that you're doing is basically what? So one of the big things you're doing is you have this portfolio of altcoins that you're investing in, and the idea is you make money on the capital appreciation, if there is capital appreciation or P&L, and also the staking thing. If you can explain staking for anybody that may not understand it.
Yeah, so actually grabbed a lot of headlines with Elon Musk talking about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is verified. So a lot of Bitcoin is verified through proof of work. So that's the typical computers are out there banging away at transactions. People are chewing up power. It's a fight between all these computers trying to verify transactions, and you get paid. So if you do some work, you get paid for it. What proof of stake does is proof of stake is much more environmentally friendly and thoughtful. So, a company like, behind DOT, as an example, would say, hey, you know what, we need X amount of computing power to run our network. And they go out and they find people that will provide that computing power. And then what these people do who are providing computing power, they put up their coins as collateral, saying we're going to guarantee these transactions and we're going to put up coins. So as an example, in order to be a verifier with DOT, I think the minimum is $69 million worth of coins. So guys will then go to other companies and say, hey, will you give me your coins? I'm going to do all the work and take all the risk, but I need your coins to stake to verify transactions, and I'm going to pay you a piece of the pie. So we've actually loaned our coins out, and we get kind of paid like interest for loaning our coins out to established players in the space who are out there verifying transactions.
How much? What's the rate? What's the interest rate that you get?
So the rate varies by coin and by need. So typically you're looking at sort of 5 to 12% annually, depending on the coin and what's going on in the market at the time.
Okay. Let's go. Okay, so we got a couple questions about the altcoin stuff. Let me just get into this. Okay. Green-eyed Bull asked about dividends. Paul, you're gonna have dividends because basically the question is, and a few people have asked, why should they buy the stock, right? When they can just buy these altcoins themselves, right?
Yeah. So
are they going to
be? So one of the reasons that we exist with I'll call them the big altcoins, is finding the ones that are good. For example, we have a lot of Cardano. Cardano, despite the downtrend in the cryptocurrencies, I mean, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything's down. Our Cardano purchase is actually up. We've got a profit. So really what we're doing is we're providing people with the resources, the research, the know-how to go out there and pick the right coins, pick the good coins. So people can go out and buy some of these coins. Some of these coins are harder to buy than you might think, which is one of the reasons to rely on us. So for example, we're at Coinbase custody doing the staking. It's $10 million minimum to be a member. So if you want to go and buy some crazy Dogecoin on some crazy exchange, go ahead. That's not for us. That's not what we do. A lot more research goes into the use cases, what's going on with the coins, really doing that research and monitoring. And as I mentioned with Beyond the Moon, in order to get involved in some of these IPOs, you need to be a member of an exchange. And the top tier on some of these exchanges is $150,000. So again, the average retail investor doesn't really want to tie up $150,000 to maybe participate in an IPO to do all that research. Now, will we eventually pay dividends? Potentially. Like I said, we got started just a few months ago, pretty much in February. So a little early days for us to do that. But, down the road, are dividends a potential? Absolutely. It's something that we can consider doing. But, right now we're providing that expertise and that exposure that a lot of people can't get on their own.
Okay. So, we're getting a lot of people, bought the stock in, I don't know, what is it, last month, 2 months ago. So the stock is down, obviously. So the question is, so Michael's asking, I think what he's asking is, what do you have? Maybe if I'm rephrasing it, look, what do you have? What catalysts are there that could create some value in the stock where we could see some lift?
Yeah. So I think as we start to announce our participation in some of these IDOs and we can start to put out some of these trading profits, I think that's going to get people pretty excited. I'm also very, very excited about our NFT acquisition. I think midterm, that is going to be one of the largest drivers of value for shareholders, is our acquisition of New World and some of the other potential acquisitions that's leading to. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for us.
Okay, and we haven't talked about that yet. So let's talk about the New World acquisition. What's going on there?
Yeah, so New World is an NFT company, so non-fungible token. And so in particular, New World is focused on augmented reality art. And they've got some incredible artists signed up, some incredible celebrities. They have Fetty Wap as an example. He's an American rapper, has over 6.5 million Instagram followers, tons of views every month on all of his music channels, etc. And so this is a celebrity now that is signed with us exclusively, and we'll be putting out some artwork, for fans. And we get under our business model, we get a cut of those sales. And these sales, because they're tied to the blockchain, they'll be tradable, they'll be resellable. The artist will always get a little something, when there's future sales. So unlike traditional artwork where you buy it, you hang it on your wall, and the only people that make money from it are Christie's and Sotheby's when you go to resell it. This now, if you say, hey, Paul, I really like your NFT, can I buy it off you? If you buy it off me, the artist gets more residual. So it's really great for the artwork to start to get into this market or this model where there's residuals. The largest NFT sale was Christie's, about $69 million artwork. Here in Canada, our largest NFT sale was $4.9 million, and again, an artist up in Ontario. So there's a lot of adoption, a lot of interest by the art world in putting out NFTs because it allows them to really participate.
So this company, this NFT company that you're buying, essentially, they produce these NFTs together with artists
in conjunction with their clients,
whatever it is. Okay, got it. Okay, when is that deal going to close?
So I'm hopeful we can squeeze it in this month. Worst case scenario, first week of July. Okay. The terms are all agreed. The lawyers are just papering everything up. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay. So, what kind of, what kind of revenues are they generating right now? How are they making money? So they just launched. So they're generating revenue from the sale of NFTs, and literally they just launched. They were down at NFT Basel in Miami, and they signed up even more artists. And so under the terms of the buyout, they need to hit $1.5 million of revenue this year. And next year they're going to, because the year's almost done, and they're just launching. But next year in the first quarter, they're supposed to hit $6 million of revenue in the first quarter for the full payout, and we think they'll hit it. Their projections exceed that. So if they can, get the sales that they think they're going to get, and they've definitely got the clients on side. They have Bieber Industries as an example, lots of other people that are already signed up and ready to go. And a lot of other areas that we're looking at in terms of other NFT acquisitions that have come because of this one that have come to us. For example, The Weeknd, he actually put out a music NFT, 2,000 copy music NFT. And so we're looking at areas like that, music NFTs. Now,
a music NFT, basically, what does that mean? It means you get, it's like, I don't know, it's like an NFT.
Yeah, so The Weeknd launched a song in an NFT. There's 2,000 copies, which means that if you bought one, you're the only owner of that song. You and 2,000 people are the only people that's that song. So, you like it, you can keep listening to it. You have dinner parties, you can show off your NFTs to your friends with your music, sell them, trade them.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because there was a guy. This is back. I guess this kind of sounds ancient, but what is the? I remember, people are into it. People are into having this weird, like, one of a kind thing. Because I remember a couple of years ago was the guy Martin Shkreli. The guy, the farm. What do they call him? The farmer bro. The guy, he got into some trouble with, I don't know. But anyway, he bought a record. It was a one-off of, was it the Wu-Tang Clan? He paid $3 million in an auction. I think it was on eBay. He paid $3 million for this record. It was a one-off. They just made this, whatever it is, 10 songs or whatever. I don't know how many songs. And that was his thing. He would basically, have this. I mean, I don't know what's the point of it, but that's so I think that's an interesting concept. A music NFT that could be, with what these guys are doing.
Especially if you start to get things, like DJs that are popular, and they can start now getting exclusive music. And now, so if you want some exclusive DJ material, you got to go hire this guy because he's got NFTs that nobody else has. It's a really interesting way that the music.
So this what do you call it? So they have this guy Fetty Wap, right? Mm-hmm. So is he going to be doing music NFTs with you now?
Right now, he's just visual, like AR NFTs, but who knows where it goes.
Got it. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Okay, actually, this is an interesting question. Can owning the NFT translate into, I guess, the royalties? What is it? When they replay? Yeah. When the song gets replayed, on a radio, the artist gets like 2 cents or something.
Yeah, so because you'll own this NFT exclusively, there's no, there's nothing. It's not going to be playing on the radio, so you're not going to hear this song on the radio. You're going to own it exclusively, but the artist will get royalties if you resell it. So if somebody says, "Hey, I listened to the Weeknd song enough, and the prices have gone up. I want to sell it and buy something new," the artist will continue to participate in the sale of their music.
in theory, I guess an artist can sell, his, I don't know, his what do you call it? What do they call it? They call it the, not the catalog, the
the catalog. Yep, that's exactly it. Their
catalog. It's the what is it? The publishing right, right? So the publishing gives you. So they sell the publishing rights, and then that goes into like a token, some sort of NFT thing, in which gets paid. Yeah, because those things are perpetual money maker. Okay.
Even for art, look at all the great artists out there. I mean, Picasso starved during his life, and now all of us together would have a fun time trying to buy one. Imagine if the estate was getting paid, every time a Picasso sold for $80-100 million. The NFTs really have the opportunity to really revolutionize the art world across all art platforms.
Michael's asking a very good question. Okay, so how do you make money with these NFTs? Like, let's say the Fetty Wap deal. How do what are the margins there?
Yeah, so our revenue is between 20% and 50% of the NFT sales. So if the NFT sells for $500, we would get 100 to 250, depending on our involvement. Some of the people that we're signing up are pure artists who obviously have the ability to do their own artwork. Others we would be working with, and so we would take a higher piece of the action. But overall, our gross margins, net profit for New World is over 50%, because again, it's sort of back to that software model. You're not incurring a lot of costs to get your product out. You're not holding inventory. It's all electronic. It's all digital.
Okay. Eric is asking, are you investing in sub-penny altcoins to provide more upside potential?
So we have not yet. Again, Cardano, DOT, all those large ones are above that price. When we go to do the IDOs, we are less price sensitive because, again, we're looking for something that is coming out brand new, that we think has good user acceptance, good community, is hot. And a lot of those launch at sub-penny status. So I think with the IDOs, we might see some. But again, the IPO is priced where the IPO is at, and it's our move just to get in there, buy it, and sell it at a profit.
Okay. Hang on a second. I'm not sure. Did I ask you this question? The Rarible token. What are your thoughts on the Rarible token? Do you know about this token?
I don't know much about it, so I'm sorry. I don't really have a comment on it. I'm sorry.
A couple of people asking, what is the relationship with Data Metrics?
So Data Metrics is the largest shareholder of Graph. Data Metrics originally spun Graph blockchain out as a public company many years ago, when they were going to actually focus on crypto mining, traditional proof of work, and that never came to pass. So Data Metrics is just our largest shareholder.
Okay. Question. Are you in or out of Doge? I don't know. I'm not sure what the question is. Are you in, or what's your position in Doge?
So we do not have any Dogecoin. Again, our focus on the larger coins has been really focused on companies with good use cases. Really to see something adopted. Doge, really started as a joke. Everybody knows it started as a joke, and now Elon Musk and others are trying to get it accepted as really a method of payment. And they may or may not succeed. So really, it's not really, in terms of the large cap stuff that we look at, have the use case that we really want. Okay,
great question here. Michael's asking. Okay, so there's a bunch of companies now. There's a lot of people getting into this, the NFT space. Teaming up with artists, whatever. Whatever. What are you doing different there? How are you going to compete?
Yeah. So I mean, what we're doing differently is New World was actually founded by an artist, D Snow is his street name, or Diogo Snow, along with a couple of other computer guys. So I think really what you've got the art community reaching out to the art community, and that creates a lot of credibility. Artists are still concerned about where they're showing up. You need to make your living as an artist, as a celebrity. You want quality. You don't want to be associated with something that's not at your standard. So I think we have the right guys who have started this and are able to make sure the artists feel comfortable. And like I said, we've got Fetty Wap, Bieber Industries. I mean, they have over 100 artists and celebrities signed. So I think they've done a really good job, and they signed up more after NFT Basel in Miami. So I think it's really just creating that quality platform and reputation that artists feel comfortable with.
Okay, a couple more questions. Uzair is asking, are you going to increase your stake in Cardano?
I really like Cardano. We just very well might. It's something we've been looking at. We're constantly looking at coins and whether we want to add or wait. Really like Cardano. It's something we might very well do.
Okay. David's asking, do you see value in investing in oracles? Do you currently have any position? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so I do. Yep, David, I do, and we actually do have a position in Link. We bought about $500,000 worth of Link. That is really the only one that I'm really sort of seeing that good use case for. Not to say that there aren't others that are working hard at it, but right now that's our only one, and I don't think we'll add any others in the short term in that area. But we do have Link.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so what else do you have coming up in the next let's say 90 days? What are the milestones? What kind of news flow could investors look forward to?
So I think a lot of news flow around the NFT. I think closing the NFT. I think seeing the NFT start getting into revenue or delivering revenue for us when it closes is going to be a big milestone. I think we'll see some really great artists added to that NFT platform, and it's kind of led to a few other NFTs coming to talk to us. So I think there might be more acquisition in the NFT space potentially. I mean, we don't have anything yet. We're just talking, not even at.
So that's actually that's interesting because when you get this NFT thing locked up, when is this supposed to close?
My hope is end of June. Worst case scenario, beginning of July.
Okay, so potentially, so when you close that, that could be a good generator of news flow in terms of every time you sign up one of these artists, that brings a lot of eyeballs. So I mean, like Fetty Wap, I know the name. Like I don't know what his music is, but I've heard that name because it's one of these weird names.
So, yeah, I've heard the name too. That's more my son listening to music than me.
No, but he's like the guy's like I don't know. He's like this guy has got millions of fans, right? So if you get that guy, you can get like I don't know. I mean, 100 other guys like that. So if you sign up 5 of those guys in July, and you announce it, I mean that would get a lot of traction for the stock. I mean we've seen that happen with other stocks in this NFT space.
100%. That's the idea. It's just to continue to use artists.
Yeah, you got to get Cardi B, right? Cardi B.
I would love to see her sign up. If she's watching right now, because I know she loves your show, call me. We'll sign you up.
She's probably watching. Yeah,
I'm sure she is.
It'll be a PG rated. It'll be like a PG rated NFT, right? We have to
That's okay. I would be happy to sign her up for any NFT.
Family friendly. Okay. Question here. What is it? I don't know what this is. Matic Stealth. I don't know.
ADA. So that's one of our coins.
Okay.
Actually, we really like Stellar as well. We were actually looking at Stellar before the downturn. When we bought Tezos and we press released buying Tezos, we were looking at both Stellar and Tezos, and we went with Tezos for now, and now we're continuing to watch Stellar. So that is something we might add.
Okay. How many of these altcoins do you have right now?
We have, I believe, 5. Yeah.
5. Okay. So you have positions in 5 altcoins.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the approximately what's the value of the portfolio, the altcoin portfolio right now?
I don't know. I don't, much like stocks, I don't watch on a day-to-day basis. We've deployed about $4 million into altcoins.
Okay. So do you have a P&L yet? I mean, more or less. I mean, it's marked kind of daily.
Yeah. I mean, our year end is due out August.
Okay.
We did have a press release out that on our Cardano, I think it was up over 80% when we put that press release out. So I'm not quite sure where we were for year end.
Are you going to report like the value of the portfolio like on a regular basis at some point? Like, I don't know, like once a week or once a month or something, or are you going to stick to a traditional reporting format?
Yeah, probably for now, traditional. I mean, we'll see. I don't know that a weekly, update necessarily. People know what coins we have,
so they can. Great. It'll add a lot of volatility to the stock.
That it could.
Okay. So 4 million. Okay. So let's kind of do the math. So you got about 4 million in coins, and you deployed that over the last. When did you start? Like in March, roughly?
Yeah. So March, April, May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess people can kind of maybe figure out, like, hey, because that was kind of right into the run-up, right? In the early stages of the last run-up, or where March?
Yeah, some of the coins were a little bit higher than others, but yeah, it was definitely on the way to the peak.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So, somebody's talking about AMP.
AMP is a great token. It's used as collateral, and transactions are fast and cheap. Okay, I will go take a look at it.
Okay. Okay. So when is the earnings date?
So it's due by the end of August. Our year end is April, so 120 days after year end. So we're out by the end of August.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Paul. Okay, so last question, I guess. If you like. In your opinion, like, what would you say the top 3 reasons for investors, to want to own GBLC stock today?
I think it's great exposure to the crypto markets, especially the IDO market. And I think what we're doing in NFTs can be really revolutionary for the company and as a value creation for shareholders. I mean, New World, their goal next year is over $25 million of revenue for next full fiscal year at over 50% margin. If we can, and that's without even acquiring new artists. That's with the 100 artists that they have on right now. They're not even projecting more artists coming on board. So as we launch more artists or potentially branch out into music NFTs or something else, I think that can be really revolutionary for the company.
Okay, excellent. Paul, I want to thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining our live stream today, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to